Hi everyone, Mark Rhoden here again with another preview of a Group 1 race for this Autumn Carnival time in Sydney. This week we're going to have a look at the Coolmore Classic Group 1 Fillies and Mares race under handicap conditions. First thing to note this week is the weather forecast. Currently a good 4, but there is a possibility at least of a tremendous amount of rain falling between now and Saturday. They'd actually predicted quite a bit to have fallen already, but they seem to have missed it so far. But throughout tonight and tomorrow and even into Saturday, it does look like there's plenty of rain around. For the purposes of this, I'm assuming it's going to be the track's going to be heavy, soft 7 at the very best. But that's one variable we'll certainly have to keep an eye on between now and Saturday. If you've seen my previews before, you will have seen this worksheet I use. Again, I won't spend too much time going into the finer details of this, but hopefully it'll be pretty self-explanatory as we go on. The most important figure for us at this stage on the front page is this figure of 109, which is what I think it's the average figure on my rating scale that the Coolmore goes, and depending on the weight each horse has to carry on Saturday, that will determine how high they have to rate to be a winning chance in the race. We'll start with the map. We've still got 3 emergencies in the field, all unlikely to run, I would suspect. Mandillion has got a run already, but the 3-year-olds Mizzy, Profila and Hurtakawa aren't in the field yet, and are all entered for other races, so would be unlikely to run. As you can see, even so, there's going to be 20 horses running, very big field. A lot of variables in the map. Basically got this sort of cohort going forward. Mandillion, White Moss, who ran well after being ridden aggressively last time. Manicure with blinkers on. Daisy Doom, who won the race last year from barrier 14 and was ridden forward and got the job done. So I imagine they'd try something similar from the wide gate this year. Alassio, Jamaican Rain, race on the speed. Beyond that, it gets a bit up in the air whether the jockey's out wide, I want to push on, or just snag straight back and get a long way back. It's all a bit up in the air. We'll see what transpires there. A note on perhaps the likely track pattern for Saturday. Last time we got a wet track at Rosehill on a true rail, in a bit of a surprise, it was actually very favourable to be on the fence, which is unusual for a wet Rosehill. The first 7 races, I think, on that 9-race card anyway, being forward and or on the fence was a plus. They did get a bit wider in the last 2 races. Generally they do get off the fence though when it's wet, so that's something we'll have to keep an eye on the day as well. I won't be making any firm statements about the track pattern as I go through the field at this point, but it's something that will certainly have to be watched. If anything, I'm assuming, on the speed a plus and probably a bit off the fence a +2, especially in the straight. Right, to the field. Daisy Doom, you can see in this box here, needs to rate around 112 to win. She was able to do that second up last year in this race. The wet track itself won't bother her, as that was her best ever career run, and it was on the dry after her first up win on the dry as well. She's performed okay on wet tracks. My main worry is that there's plenty of other horses who want to go forward in the race, and also she is now a year older than she was last year. Was able to back up that peak performance to start after. Wasn't beaten far in the Emancipation, but since then has been just a little bit off. Pretty comfortably beaten in the Millie Fox after racing on the speed, and really has to just bounce to her best second up with 58 kilos on a wet track. I'd be opposing her. Number 2 is Dixie Blossoms. Just not enough speed on for her first up in the Guy Walter. Ran really well. Be fitter and surely set to peak today. Definitely can win. Wet track is no problem at all. Slight concern is McDonald, obviously, James McDonald had the option of riding her, I would have thought, and he has elected not to, and C. Reith takes him out. He's ridden the horse well in the past, he's won on it. It's certainly doesn't get rid of her, but it's just a slight knock. But she is definitely amongst the chances. Move on to Savvy Cope, the former New Zealander. Had her first start for Chris Waller the other day. Started 50 to 1. Never got on the track, but was well beaten. Yeah, can't really see her stepping to her best and causing an upset on the wet track here. I'd be surprised. Moving on to Eckstein, a good first up winner against the males in the Southern Cross. Then only fair behind Alassio. Probably not really suited by the lack of speed there. Has won at stakes level on heavy, so I'm not too concerned about that. Just not sure she's sort of paid the penalty for her consistent overall record throughout her career. It's earned her 56 kilos in this Group 1 level, which really might max her out. I think I'd be looking elsewhere. Oregon's Day had a perfect run in her first up win at Flemington under D. Oliver. A repeat of that. She's around the mark in this sort of company of this mark, I would suggest. Whether she can do it on a track this wet is probably the question mark. There's a lot of chances in this race, obviously in the big field, and she's one of the ones I think needs everything to go right for her. So she's not completely without a chance. She's only around $13 in the early market, so I wouldn't be backing her at that price. Number 6 is Alassio, who is in tremendous form this preparation. On 3 of the last 4. She was brilliantly ridden by Tim Clark last time, controlled the tempo up and the speed at her first try at 1400, and won well. She steps up again to 1500 now on what is likely to be a wet track with a bit of competition for the lead. She would need to improve off that run again to win at Group 1 level. Her handicap rating's gone up again, so she's actually gone up in class and in weight. And with those other factors like the other speed in the race too, I think that makes her task pretty difficult. Cool Passion's out, so we move on to Noir. Noir will like the wet track, tends to get back in her races. But she was totally unsuited in that Alassio race last time. She can go better. Probably not a winning chance, in my opinion, but the wet track brings her into it a bit. Yeah, it should improve, but probably not one of the main chances. White Moss, terrific ride from Kathy O'Hara last time, really summed it up perfectly, took control of the race from a wide barrier and got the money at 50 to 1. It was a really impressive bit of initiative shown by Kathy O'Hara there, and I would imagine they will adopt the same tactics here, put her in the race. She's up 200 metres to 1500, probably not in itself enough to stop her, but there is a lot more depth here, and there will again be more competition for the lead. Wet track's a plus. She's a Mossman. She's won on the soft and heavy. That's no worries. Just a bit more depth to this race, and she won't be able to dictate the terms like she did last time. Eloisia ran, obviously completely unsuited against Winks. She was fresh up last time. Facing Winks, had no hope. Probably forget about that. Her start before her little break, she ran a very close second in the Villiers in a performance that would give her a chance in this. The barrier is obviously the worry. She's drawn 23 even after scratching. She'll be jumping from the extreme outside. Yes, the extreme outside. And I think they probably have no option but to go back and hope she can make up the ground, which is going to be difficult. But she has the ability to be competitive, but circumstances look against her on Saturday. Here's I Am Serious, who is the early favourite. Certainly one of the 2 or 3 best chances in the race. Mentioned before in relation to Dixie Blossoms that McDonald obviously had his pick of a couple of mounts here. He's stuck with I Am Serious. Just White Moss probably not overly well suited by the lack of speed there. No doubt set to peak in this, and the wet is a plus. I think in ratings terms, I've marked her off 111, which there's a mark she hasn't actually done before. I mean, it's obviously looks well within her range, but I think I'm being reasonably kind to her, and yeah, I can't at this point get a 550. The shape of my market affects that price as well, but I think she's pretty well found at 550, but notwithstanding that, she's a definite winning chance. Invincible Gem, on figures, you sort of see in this column, she's competitive at this level, maybe get her around the 110 mark. She's got that in her. Drawn a bit wide, and hasn't won since August 2017. She's might just again fall a length or two short at this level. She was pretty good in the Newcastle Newmarket last start. Nothing wrong with that run. Yeah, she's competitive. She's I don't really. She's become a bit of a non-winner, and I don't really see her as a winning chance, I'd say. Princess Posh won the Newcastle Newmarket, and the wet track won't harm her chances at all. She's third up, and no reason she won't be able to hold that peak. Ken Barry is going to be a problem. She gets back a lot of the time anyway. She will either have to pick her way through or run past a lot of horses in the straight. You would think from that barrier she will be well back, but certainly going well. And the wet track is a +2. Sabatiano, who looked to have the Newcastle Newmarket won until Princess Posh was able to get her on the line. She'll be third up, also set to peak. Bit better off at the weights today too, which is a plus. Not entirely sure how wet she wants it. Softish 5 or 6 wouldn't be an issue. If we're getting into the heavy range, that might be an issue. Going to need a little bit of luck from the gate, I think, but definitely a winning chance. And at around $16, she's probably over the odds, considering she was, a short favourite in the Newcastle Newmarket, all but won it. Looked like her fitness may have given out late, so she should be at her peak. A winning chance and probably a little bit over the odds. Eldorado Dreaming, going quite well. That, the form around Nikita Jones pretty good. She's drawn quite wide as well. Going to have to do something a bit clever. She's completely unknown on the ground this wet. She had one go as a 2-year-old and was beaten at Tamworth, so over 1,000 metres, so can't really read much into that. She's unproven on it. I don't think she's a great winning chance. She's got she'd be in some sort of place or each way chance. Not really a winning chance for me. Fiesta's an interesting one. She was terrific winning the English Sprint first up off some good trials. She really did find the best part of the track that day and flew. It was a great win, beating Esther Judd. She drew badly in the surround behind Nikita Jones second up, but she didn't have too bad a run in that race, all things considered. She got Nikita Jones back for most of the race and was out-kicked by her. She may have been a run short there, 1,100 start up to 1,400, and the soft track will certainly suit her. She's not drawn too badly. She should get some sort of trail here. She's certainly nicely weighted with 52.5. And as I mentioned, the wet track will be a plus for her. I think she is a winning chance, and she's not too bad a price at around $13. So she's one of the chances. Jamaican Rain, I think, is very nicely set up here. She's 6-year-old, but only lightly raced, and her wet track credentials are very good. Admittedly, in weaker grade, see back here, she's won by 6 lengths on a very wet track at Cranbourne. Backed that up with a city win on a soft 5, then hit in the Glasshouse up at Sunshine Coast. She's won by 4 lengths on a heavy 8. So the 2 times she's hit a heavy track in her life, assuming that's what we're dealing with on Saturday, if we do get that amount of rain, she's won by big margins. She's rated quite well. She's well enough to be a winning chance anyway. I think with she returned with a reasonable first up win. Had a very good run on the speed on a dry track with 58 kilos. Drops to 52.5 here. I think, yeah, her turning in a performance like that on a dry track suggests she might be able to go even better second up, with all in her favour, that being a weight drop and the heavy track. G-Boss coming in from overseas to ride her should put her right up on the speeds. I think if she can take that little step forward off her first up run, she is the one to beat. She's second favourite in the market, but I've got her around $5, around the $5.50 mark, $5.56 mark, and my top pick at this stage. Just to reiterate, basing that assumption on a Rocket Rain arriving. If it was only a soft 5, or in that range, I'd have to reassess that. But if we're dealing with a heady, I think she's probably the one to beat. Bella Martini, third up now, probably should be at her peak. Nicely weighted, I suppose, with 52, but she's only been fair in both runs this time in after being in the market. Yeah, she's got a rough place chance, I suppose, but she has to quickly bounce to her best on a wet track to win here, despite the nice weight drop. Going to Manicure, Robbie Dolan back on it. He rode to a narrow defeat in the Trisco behind the Lassio 2 starts ago. Blinkers on here, obviously primed to run a race here. One on soft going as a younger horse. I assume with the blinkers, they'll just try and negate the barrier by riding her forward. Whether she's tough enough to see out the 1500 remains to be seen. But with only 52, if the blinkers do get her to spark up, she's got some sort of chance. Moss Trip, a horse I've always had a bit of time for. This is obviously her toughest test, but she's got no weight, down to 51.5. Okay, first up behind White Moss and tried quietly since. At her best, under these weight conditions, she's got a chance. The market hasn't missed her. She's only $11. She does tend to get back a bit. I do think she's definitely a chance, but she's not. Doesn't look a great betting proposition at $11, but she's certainly one of the chances. Now we come to the last of those that are guaranteed to start, Mandillion, who is, if nothing else, a wet tracker. She's never really probably struck anyone as a Group 1 winning sort of horse, but she'll be up on the speed. She's got no weight. No jockey declared as yet. Will be sorted out soon, no doubt. She's around 80, $81 and better available. Certainly a wet tracker. Be up on the pace with no weight. I couldn't tip her, but there's certainly worse 80, 100 to 1 chances to back than her, but she will at least give you a sight. On to the emergencies, who are yet to be guaranteed to start. Mizzy, really nice filly going well. I would say with 50 kilos, definite lightweight chance. She's drawn all right. She gets in, she'll get her chance, and she handles the wet. Getting the start's the biggest obstacle at this stage. Quafilla probably wants further now, but she got the job done from well back in the field, first up at Caulfield. Ran better time in sectionals than Jamaican Rain on the same day as the horse I was tipping in the race. Admittedly, that was a dry track performance, and we might be dealing with a very wet track on Saturday. But again, hard to really tip her as a super winning chance. But geez, you can get $71, $81 there. If she got a run, she'd throw in exotics anyway. And Pahudakawa had no luck at all this time in. She is ready to do something. She gets the blinkers on, and she's drawn well, and she likes the wet. I think she'd be a great chance if she gets a run. But there's needs 3 more to be scratched for her to get a run, and she's entered in the Kemble Games Classic tomorrow, which with James McDonald, which is where she'll be going. So she'd be some sort of lightweight chance if she got a start, but it looks very unlikely at this point. So just to recap. Well, firstly, a lot of variables to weigh up here. Guessing a bit with the track condition and pattern, but if we assume a fairish track where off the rails is a bit of a plus and it is quite wet, I think Jamaican Rain under those circumstances would be a good bet at around $7.50 or better if you can get it. I think she is very well placed at 52.5 and will put herself right in the race and could be set up for a peak performance. I Am Serious, the early favourite, definite chance. Very, very well found in the market, I think. But yes, certainly has to be considered a chance. And probably the best value chances in the race at this stage, I think, are Fiesta and Sabatiano, although in both cases they'll need a couple of little things to go right for them to win the race. Anyway, I hope that's been of some help, and we'll be back again next week with another Group 1 preview of the Golden Slipper. In fact, next week. So, yes, we've got that to look forward to. Until then, good luck, good punting, and I'll be in touch soon.